where no topic is off topic. I am your host, Kimberly Dam. Hello. Welcome back, you guys. So this season, I'm doing a little bit something different, which I'm happy to be here for a season at all. But here's the thing. Remember how last season I said that I wasn't even sure if there was going to be a third season? I figured out why. So I'm calling this the third season, but it's not going to be recorded like a season, meaning I'm not pressuring myself to record. If I don't have something to talk about, I'm not going to be here. But I am going to be here in different ways, in which I'll get to at the end of this episode. So welcome back if you're listening for the first time. Welcome if you are a returning listener. I appreciate you. I love you. So yeah, this season we're talking about relationships. We're going to dive into this. And while a lot of what I will be talking about this season probably has more to do with conscious romantic partnership is what I'm calling it. It honestly will pertain to any type of relationship because really, it's really more or less about you. So we're going to dive right in. I want to talk about, I felt like the first episode really should be about our relationship to ourselves. And honestly, I can say that this episode, while it is the preface to all of the following episodes, it really is kind of like the only one that you need. And the reason why is because our relationship with ourselves determines everything. And honestly, our relationship to the present moment also determines everything. It is literally the platform from which we jump off from. One of my favorite authors, the author of The Presence Process, Michael Brown, says that trying to get love is like going into the bottom, diving into the ocean and expecting to find oxygen. This is so profound on so many levels because I think it truly not only addresses it really addresses like our perspective, not only on love, but our entire life experience. So much we think, that this life is about acquiring, getting, right? And really what it's about is what are you bringing? Because whatever you're bringing is what your experience is going to be. And so I think it's really important for us to understand that and to really start to look at things differently and ask ourselves questions more pertaining to what is my relationship to myself? Where did I learn that relationship to myself? How did I learn that relationship? And what do I want the relationship to myself to look like? And thus, when I see that the reality or when I see that my relationships with others aren't appearing, or that that it's not a direct reflection of that, can I be aware enough to allow that reflection, but also bring some truth to it, bring the true perspective to it, and not put it on the other person, not put the blame on the other person that they're not showing up in the best capacity. And I think that this really, this focus of ourselves is really, what do I want to say here? It's kind of like in strong contrast to what we've been taught our entire life. I think that when we're children, actually, I know this. This isn't a thought. This is proven. When we're children, we think that we're very self-centric as children because we come into this world and we're dependent, right? Our parents respond to us our environment responds to us and what responds to us. And while that in some ways is very true, we are not aware when we are children that others before us have been conditioned. And what I mean by that is you think that the world is happening to you. You think that everybody is responding to you. And so a lot of us, whether it is intended by our parents or not, a lot of us at one point or another are very confronted with the fact or with the interpretation that we are not worthy of whatever it is. And it doesn't matter whatever it is, because at the root cause, at the root of whatever we think that we're not worthy of, it's love, right? So whether or not we're not worthy of abundance, whether we're not worthy of being seen, spent time with, whether we're not worthy of, being properly educated, or it doesn't matter, because all of that equates to love. This is what our spirit understands, but our mind does not, because we forget when we are incarnated that we inherently are deserving of love, that everything in this life revolves around love. And so, everything that is in lack, everything that we perceive to be in lack is really just us saying, I'm not worthy of love. Because to be worthy of love is to be worthy of everything, because everything is contained within love. Everything is born out of love. Wealth is born out of love. Abundance is born out of love. Security, stability, it's all born out of love. Now, the love that you may think that I'm speaking of, it doesn't only pertain to romantic love, friend type love, the love that you get from your parents or from your biological family. It is love. It's the pure essence of love, which to me is connection to source. It's everything. It's unity consciousness. It's understanding that we are a part of everything, that everything moves through us, that we are not the original doer, that there were a series of dominoes that happened before we even popped in to this experience. And there are things so far beyond our control. And so, when I look at it, when I look at every single one of us and us coming into this experience and eventually learning, oh my God, like everybody's reacting to me and they're showing me that I'm not worthy. And so then we take that forward and our reality gets completely distorted. Everything in our life starts reflecting this back to us. And I feel that honestly, the beginning of what some people phrase as a spiritual awakening is recognizing that. It's recognizing that you've been living backwards since the day you were born. Not go. So it's really important to recognize that, within that understanding, you start to realize that it's you that is responsible for your experiences, whether they're life experiences, and that includes romantic partnership, it includes your friendships and all of that. And that is where the birth or the initiation into creating a relationship with yourself comes in. Because whether or not we want to admit it, I love how many people toss around this idea of unconditional love. Now, do not misunderstand me. Unconditional love is a beautiful sentiment. It's a beautiful concept. It's a beautiful idea. Do I believe that it stops there? No. I believe that it exists. But do I believe that it's like there's a plethora of it? Do I believe that there's an abundance of it? There's an abundance of it available to us, yes. But do I feel that we really understand what that is? Do I believe that most humans, most spirits that are currently embodying these meat suits, do I believe that we truly understand or embody unconditional love? No, I do not. Do I believe that that's what we're working for? Yes. Uh, but the truth is like, I love how they say, well, a mother's love is unconditional. No, it's not. We all were not allowed as children. We were not allowed. We were taught by our parents that there is a way that we have to exist within this society in order to be seen as healthy and well adjusted. But let me rephrase this. We were taught by our parents that there is a way that we need to exist within the society in order to feel or be loved. But that is not love. That is not love. Love is pure acceptance. Love is pure allowance. Love is, I'm going to fully allow you. Your temper tantrum and all to unfold in the store amidst all of these people. Not only am I going to allow that, but I'm going to hold space for you in that. I'm going to witness you. I'm not going to interfere, because interference is fear expressing itself by controlling, by intervening. There's a lot to unpack in a situation like that, right? And we don't blame our parents. Our parents don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to be shamed by society. They don't want the guilt of, oh my God, I'm such a bad parent because I let my child do this, that, and the other thing. But to say that a mother's love is unconditional is a false statement. We all have been conditioned. If unconditional love was truly our experience from the moment we came out of the womb, then none of us would be conditioned. None of us would have deep-seated traumas. None of us would have any way that we would perceive life needs to be lived. There would be no linear path when it comes to our careers. We all would be beautifully wild, free, expressive children, or maybe slightly, we all would just feel free in our playfulness and our innocence, in our expressions of love and joy, surrender. We would be adults, but we would be childlike. We would be far more innovative, far more creative. So what does this mean? This means that if you really want to truly experience unconditional love, if you want that to be a part of your experience here, you have to create it for yourself. You have to go back. Well, no, you don't have to go back. You have to be the first one to provide that to yourself. And now I understand. You're conditioned. You're sitting there, you're whatever age you are. You're like, Kim, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. all of these things telling me, all of these things that have been so deeply rooted in the person who I am. I'm so deeply conditioned. And that doesn't mean that those are negative things. Lots of them are positive things. I'm conditioned to be expressive. So it doesn't really matter if you see it as a positive or negative. It's just we're all conditioned. So how do you start to create that unconditional love for yourself? Well, you can start by fully experiencing and accepting your feelings as they arise. And I'm going to address this question because I get it a lot, because I get this so much. People are like, well, what if I'm at work? Like, what if literally I have a really bad meeting where I get triggered? I can't just start crying in the middle of this meeting. Let me say that phrase again, and let me see if you actually see the problem in this. I can't actually start crying in the middle of a meeting. Yeah, you can't, because you've been conditioned not to. But that's really the only thing. And so often when I coach people, I try to get them to see where their little nuances, where all these little nuances are, of like how we think that we need to behave. What is considered professional? What is considered idealistic? What is considered just a societal imprint? Nobody is really telling you that you can't cry in the middle of a meeting. You just don't want to, because then comes the embarrassment, then comes the shame, then comes the guilt. And maybe in your head you're like, and then comes me getting fired, or then comes, the judgment from other people. Yeah, all valid. But again, conditioning. Now look, is that what I'm telling you to do? I don't really know. That's up for you to decide. But I will say this: if there are emotions that need to be experienced, if there are emotions, if there is energy in motion that needs to move, right? If it's desiring to be moved, if you don't give it space and time, then unfortunately you can't. That's not really something you can postpone. And so you're missing an opportunity. Whenever we are unable, and I do it too. I mean, I can't just like cry in the grocery store, right? Like, I mean, I can cry in the grocery store, but I'm just saying there are plenty of opportunities where we miss, or where we miss the opportunity to heal, where we miss the opportunity to be authentic. We're literally just postponing ourselves so much. I'll pursue my dreams when I'm 40. I'll pursue my dreams in 15 years when my family is more stable, more financially wealthy. I'll do things then, tomorrow. We're just constantly postponing. And so what happens is, when we do that to ourselves, when we're constantly just kind of like putting things off, especially our healing, our feeling, our dreams, we're literally saying, we're not worthy. I am not worthy. Wayne's World. It's just like going off in my head, I'm not worthy. You're not worthy because you're not giving it to yourself. So what starts to happen when we start to say, enough? Okay, my parents couldn't do it because they were conditioned, so I can automatically forgive them. They had conditioning just like you had conditioning, just like your next door neighbor has conditioning. We're all just living from conditioning. Okay. And we literally, what's so sad about the entire thing is we are all, whenever somebody is doing anything, we're all just seeking unconditional love. It is a means that is conditioned in us, right? It's something that we are taught to do in the hopes that we will get unconditional love. We act out. Some of us act out in what would be perceived as a positive way, and some of us act out in a negative way. It doesn't matter. We're still all just trying to get unconditional love. We're still all just trying to experience this thing that we all have within us that we can all just give ourselves. But we're clueless. We have no idea what it looks like. We have no idea how to get there. But the beauty is that when you really start to love and accept yourself, when you really start to say, you know what? Fuck society. Fuck this idea that I have to have this from point A to point B career path. Fuck keeping up with the Joneses. Fuck a new car. Fuck like having to do all of these things. Fuck the 401k. There is no way. There is no one way. It all can be done. It all can be experienced. And when you start inviting these things into yourself, when you really start like tapping into yourself and saying, okay, I'm just going to start with my feelings. Okay, so when I'm in the comfort of my own home, I'm going to truly just honor how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling lazy, I'm going with it. If I'm feeling uninspired, I'm going with it. If I feel like I need to scream into my pillows and punch my mattress, then that's what I'm going to do. If I feel, and if I allow myself to feel, what the beautiful thing about that is even when you start with the smallest intention, it just grows, it snowballs to this place of like, fuck it. I'm going to answer my soul. I'm going to buy this membership to the gym or to yoga because it feeds me. I'm going to meet with friends, even if if it means that I put something that isn't feeding me on the back burner. I'm going to start answering my soul. I'm going to start answering all of those subtle nudges, all of those little like spirit rumbles that I've been ignoring for so long. I want to be clear that I am not advocating for you to necessarily act on emotion, okay? Because emotions, they come and they go. It's like a roller coaster, okay? Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. They're completely unreliable, especially considering that most of them are just habitual patterns that were created when we were children. But that doesn't mean that they're not valid. And it doesn't mean that they're not required to feel. That's all that needs to be done with emotions. That's it. I think so many people are like, I got to do something. Like, I feel them, so they must be true. So I have to act on them. And really, they just need to be felt. That's the only action that needs to be taken. I think we really need to stop bringing the emotions up into this mental space of like, okay, I'm feeling this way, so something must be off. I'm feeling this way, so I must have to change my job, or I must have to, and not that that doesn't necessarily have to be considered, but don't go there immediately. Feel the feeling. Feel the anxiety, feel the depression, feel the hurt, feel the pain, feel the joy, the triumph, the bliss. Feel it all. And then just understand that whatever change comes out of that, whatever action you do decide to take, based on that emotion. I can't stand my job. I'm not happy with my job. It's not, it's not in alignment with my heart. Okay. So you quit your job and you do something that is in alignment with your heart. But just know that those emotions are going to come up doing things that are in alignment with your heart. Because most of those emotions are literally just patterns from things either that have triggered you, or that, wounded you as a child and have been triggering you since, or from mental processes, belief systems, the ongoing program that's running in your head all the time in the background saying, I'm not good enough. Emotions are never influenced necessarily by external circumstances. They're not. And so when we start to kind of understand that, when we start to understand that most of our emotional conditioning happened before we were 7 years old, and that is literally all the things that we're responding to all the time, is that I'm not worthy of love. Like, hey, my life is not reflecting back to me that I'm worthy of love. And now I'm sad about it. This person mistreated me. This experience isn't going the way that I want to. My job isn't reflecting back to me the advancement that I want, which is, again, me not being worthy. So how do we counteract that? We start by being with our emotions, being with what is happening in our present moment. And then in some ways, what starts to kind of happen as we stand up for ourselves, right? Stand up for ourselves to ourselves, not let ourselves remove ourselves from the present moment. As we start to stand up for ourselves to ourselves, slowly we start to just learn, we start to accept these things about ourselves. And we love ourselves. We love ourselves in those moments. We're not shaming, we're allowing. We're not guilty. We're not stubborn. We're not anything. There's no judgment. We're allowing. We're holding space. Okay, our inner feminine is feeling the feels, and our inner masculine is standing there and is like, I see you. I'm witnessing you. I'm here. And so what we realize is we start to answer our own lack, our own worthiness, because we start showing up for ourselves. And when we show up for ourselves, we show ourselves that we are worthy. And when we begin to do that, when we begin to form that relationship with ourselves, and when that is just what our experience is, this beautiful thing happens, right? That is always happening, which is that the universe is just reflecting that all back to us all the time. Not all the time. We're not perfect, right? It's always going to be, we're always going to struggle to some extent. But the thing is, it's like, it has no other option. So therefore, when you're standing in this unconditional love for yourself, that is the true essence of there is no want here, there is no need here. Because you have it all. And so everything just starts to reflect it. The universe has no other way but to just respond. It's all you'll see because that is your perspective. It's all you're going to experience because that's what you're bringing. And anything that is not a reflection of that, you can say, am I going to fall into my old conditioning that I am not worthy of experiencing a similar love to which I give myself? Or am I going to know that I am loving myself and am sitting in that conditioning and say, you know what, I can have both. But where am I right now? Is there alchemy that needs to be performed? Meaning, am I fully unconditionally loving myself, showing up for myself in this moment? Or do I need to, you know, is there something that needs to be alchemized? All the variations of that, is literally what you're seeing play out in reality all the time. Which is why, we can go from having an amazing day where we just feel completely supported by the universe and these magical, beautiful things are happening. And then the next day, we can literally feel like everything is falling apart and we have no idea where we're going and we just feel lost. It's so important for us to recognize that this relationship to ourself, which is also a relationship to source, because that's really what's in us. The relationship to self, when I say the relationship to self, I'm not talking about self as in ego. I'm talking about self as in source. I'm talking about self as in spirit. I'm talking about self as in the thing that is literally the source of your entire experience. When you truly start to tap into that and recognize that as what's in is without, like everything internal is what I see in the external. When you start to realize that, you're just like, oh, okay, this is just a flow space. And I don't really need to have attachment to either one. I can create that steady stream within myself. But truth be told, like, your relationships are reflecting where you are aligned, right? Where you are loving or where you're not. And so when we talk about conscious romantic partnerships or just conscious relationships in general, this is the place that we need to come from. This place of, I have loved me so deeply. I have held space for myself during my darkest moments. I have bawled my eyes out. I have sobbed when this isn't like, oh, I've bawled my eyes out, give me a reward. This is, I have honored the feelings that have come up in me and I have allowed them to come through me when they have asked to come through me. I have done this and I can continue to do it again and again and again. And I will continue to do it again and again and again because nobody's going to show up for me better than I'm showing up for me. Let's go into the world with that understanding. So if we know that, and if that's what we're bringing, that's what all of our partnerships, all of our relations will mirror back to us. And when they're off, they're off. When they're off, you're off. There's an incredible amount of liberation that comes from taking responsibility for your own experience, from understanding that source is everything. Whatever you're sourcing is everything. There's true magic to be had, and there's this beauty that really starts to occur when we can approach our relationships in a way where we understand, this is what I'm bringing. Here's all of my scars. Here's all of my wounds. I'm aware of them because I've been not only carrying them, but I've taken time to really get to know them. I've taken time to feel them. I've taken time to love on them. And so here they are. Can you don't even need to ask them the question that I was going to ask, which is, can you see them too? Can you hold space for them too? Now I get it, like maybe in a practical sense, maybe like if you're vetting to date somebody, it would be nice to know where their approach to life is. It would be nice to know how they see life and themselves and, you know, spirit and all of that. But truthfully, you're going to know because they're going to be out of alignment with what you've been providing yourself for so long. It's like, oh, okay, that person's not capable, but I am. And then we can even get into whether or not they need to be capable. I do believe that we have come into this life. If we were meant to do this alone, we would be. There's a reason why all of these people are here. So I do believe that it is to try, you know, that you should be in alignment as much as possible with somebody, especially that you're in a romantic partnership with, you know, somebody that can see that you're carrying, that you're carrying some stuff and that you want help with it, that you're open to them reflecting back to you when you're out of alignment with source, when you're out of alignment with love. I think that that's a practical thing to be concerned with, but I think it's just as, I think it's actually more important to be like, where am I? Because I can't expect them to be there if I'm not there. So it's a beautiful thing. I don't know. I think that it's this practice of really being able to be just brings so much clarity and so much consciousness, so much awareness to what is really important. You know, it really eliminates all distortion, all illusion. It brings so much clarity around our participation, our responsibility. So I guess like that's all that I need to share with you. Just want to encourage you, you know, to start just kind of bringing this in. See if, just to start, if when you're in the privacy of your home, you can truly start to kind of feel those things right away, right as you're feeling them. Don't push them away. Those dreams, stop waiting until tomorrow. Even things that you need to say. If something is on your heart, say it. Do so consciously, but say it. That is you honoring yourself. That is you recognizing. That is you loving. It's okay if the other person doesn't receive you. That's not what it's about. It's about you loving yourself. I truly believe that if we start to play with this, if we really start to move into this space, and I know it just personally from my own practice, that when you really truly just start showing up for your soul, when you're just like, you know what, like I'm sitting here in fucking despair. I'm sitting here in fucking despair and I'm going to own it. I'm going to own it and I'm going to love it. And what really kind of starts to happen is you really do start to take a very lighthearted approach to your emotions. You don't take them as seriously because you're just like, yeah, right now I'm sobbing, but in 5 minutes I'll be laughing hysterically. It happens to me all the time. I just was like, whoa, where did that Kim go? Like she was just like in this deep, deep moment of like utter despair. And now I'm giggling over texts that I'm sending to my friends. You know, it's just let the life flow through you. Let life breathe. And then you can learn to be a little bit more detached and start to really lean in to the truth that is standing before you, which is that unconditional love has been available all along. You've just been trying to source it from a place in which it doesn't exist, which is outside of yourself. Okay, I'm going to leave this there. It feels good to be back. So I'm happy to be here. I look forward to furthering this discussion. I hope it leaves you questioning, pondering, investigating, being. I do want to say that I have begun coaching, and I am also offering some workshops, and I am officially entering into the space of, I guess, inspirational speaking. so, so if you're interested in any of that, head over to my website, kimberlydam.com. You can check out everything there. I thank you for listening. As always, I love you. Stay well and stay connected.